All right, bettors, we're back here with another episode of Just Win Bets, baby. I'm here alongside Shane O'Mac. Before we get into the AFC North schedule, that's what we're going to be covering in this episode. Let's get a quick update in the hockey game. You have selected the Dallas Stars to win, to close out, so to speak, the series. But there's a little bump in the road. What's going on?
Yeah, so some sad news came out shortly after we posted our picks for tonight's game on X. Mark Scheifele, his dad, passed away last night. The team was already in Dallas, and then he plays for the Winnipeg Jets, for people who don't know. He's their first-line center. So he got the news this morning, and then he was questionable for tonight's game. Understandably so, his dad passed away, but he stayed in Dallas, and he ended up playing, and he actually scored the first goal for tonight. So in the second period, it was a scoreless first period, 0-0 after the first period, and then he scored the first goal of the game. But thoughts and prayers out to him and his family for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. A great thing to honor his father like that. But again, our thoughts and prayers go out to his and his family. Quick shout out, of course, what happened in soccer real quick. Earlier today, the FA Cup happened, the final. It was between Crystal Palace and Manchester City, and Crystal Palace wins. So they are now the new FA Cup champions.
Josh Harris is part owner of it. Commander's owner of Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I saw him on he was there in the stands. So, hey, winning, I guess. Maybe he needs to come on here and give us some pointers.
He just needs to fix the Sixers, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, and also there's going to be some EPL matches tomorrow. Check out our Twitter feed, or X feed as they call it now, and our Instagram posts. Who is our new guy who just joined us, Big Ben. He is now the director of social media content, so he's going to be handling all of our social media stuff. And we're happy to have him on board. All right, let's jump right in here, Shano, with the AFC North. We'll start off with the defending champions of that division, which, of course, is the Baltimore Ravens. And as you can see here, folks, the schedule. Now, they only released 2 out of the 3 preseason games with Washington and Dallas. Usually Washington takes on Baltimore Ravens in their preseason game. But the third one has not been released yet, so we'll wait for that. But we'll jump right into the regular season. You have, of course, they start off with the Buffalo Bills away on a Sunday night game. So that'll be their regular season opener in Buffalo. Then they come home for 2 games, Cleveland and Detroit on a Monday night, at Kansas City on a nationally televised game on CBS, and then 2 home games right before the bye. You have Houston at 1 o'clock, and then the LA Rams at 1 o'clock. This is pretty interesting schedule that they have going in. And of course they've got that early bye. So we talked about that before, Shano, where you want to have that bye a little bit later in the season.
Yeah, it's not as bad as some of the teams we did for the NFC North that would have like week 5, but it's still earlier than most teams like it. I think they prefer it more in the middle, or like just after the middle of the season. But those first 6 weeks, as we are looking at it, that's 5 former playoff teams, or 5 playoff teams from last season that they'll be facing. So it's not like a cakewalk schedule that they're starting off with.
Yeah. What's your prediction on those first 6 games?
I think the Ravens will probably go 4-2 in this first 6. I think the Chiefs, who knows about in Arrowhead, that could go either way. I think that could be a struggle for them.
Right.
But overall, I would say 4-2.
Interesting. I'm going to go one more. I'm going to go 5-1. I'm actually drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit here for that. So I'm going to go 5-1 for them. Let's continue after the schedule there. We have, of course, the Chicago Bears at home. Then they have a long stretch away at Miami on a Thursday night, at the Minnesota Vikings, at the Cleveland Browns. Then they have 3 home games where they have home against the Jets. They host the Bengals on a Sunday night, and then they host the Pittsburgh Steelers on December 7th. Then they have an away game, the Bengals at home, or coming back home with the New England Patriots. then 2 away games. It's going to be tough because it's in the cold. We talked about that before when it came to something like a Miami Dolphins traveling. So the Ravens are going to be traveling to Wisconsin in the frozen tundra of Green Bay Packers. That time is yet to be determined. So could you imagine that being a Sunday night game or a late game for them? That might, hurt the Ravens there. And then finally at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Ravens. I think their ground game is pretty well suited for cold weather games, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have Derrick Henry's coming back, Lamar Jackson can still run, right?
Sure.
So I think they're pretty well suited for snow games and for cold weather games. But I mean, looking at the schedule, yeah, I could see that Packers game getting flexed for sure into a Sunday night game because I mean you're talking about 2 teams that are probably be fighting for their division championship at that point.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go and say for them, they'll go 11-6, maybe a 12-5.
I have them at 12-5, pretty much exact same what they were. I think that's what they were last year as well, right?
Yeah.
So that I'm putting them right back where they were last year, 12-5. It's not an easy schedule, but I mean they're a good team, and I think that's exactly where they'll probably be at, right around that same range.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to the Cleveland Browns, where we have the Cleveland Browns here. We have their 3 preseason games, of course, Carolina Eagles and the Rams. And then they start off, it looks like a seesaw type of schedule. And what we mean by that is 1 at home, 1 away, 1 at home, at away, or vice versa. So they start the season off on September 7th with, at home, the Browns are hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. Then they go to the Baltimore Ravens, home against the Green Bay Packers, at Detroit, home against Minnesota and that will take place again in London. So that's an early start for the Cleveland Browns. At the Pittsburgh Steelers, home against the Miami Dolphins, and then at the New England Patriots. They have their bye week in week 9. That's where you want to have it. But for a team like this, I mean, couldn't the NFL do a little bit better for other teams?
Yeah. And then they're one of the teams too, like this happened with the Jets, right? So the Jets are playing in London. They also don't get a bye after their London game.
Yeah.
Which is rare, right? Yeah. So like the NFL usually hooks those teams because they're traveling to England and they're going to be jet lagged and have to worry about traveling back. But then what's another weird thing about that is they're going to London and then they're going away the next week. Usually, like the Jets, I think, are at home when they're coming back from London, at least, Yeah. So they're like doubly screwed there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that far away. It's not like Cleveland's going all the way to the West Coast, like LA. I mean, Pittsburgh is close to Cleveland.
Right.
But still, I agree with you. In those, particularly in those 9, in those 8 games, I see them being, holy cow.
It's a tough schedule there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Bengals who can score, Ravens who we just talked about. We both see about them having the same record as last year, pretty much. Packers are good, Lions good, Vikings are a great team. We just don't know about the quarterback situation and how that's going to play out. I mean, that's a pretty tough schedule. I'm going
to say, because I'm going to be nice, 3-5, but in reality, 2-6 on the first 8 games.
2-6 is exactly. It's like you read my mind there. That's exactly what I was just thinking. 2-6.
Yeah. We'll finish out the season or the schedule for the Cleveland Browns here at the Jets, home against the Baltimore Ravens, at the Las Vegas Raiders, and then they have 2 home straight games. They host, of course, the San Francisco 49ers, host the Tennessee Titans at Chicago on December 14th. Then home against the Buffalo Bills, home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then to be TBD. But it'll be on January 4th at the Bengals.
Yeah, and so this, like, I think the late season there that's still a pretty tough schedule. I mean, this is a tough division, right? So
yep.
you have the Bengals who can score with anybody. You have the Ravens who are really good. Steelers, Mike Tomlin doesn't go below 500 like he never has, literally. Right. So I mean, so when you're in a conference that division that's so tough like that, your schedule always looks like it's stacked, and then that's like something that's been biting Cleveland and in the butt for a long time, I think.
Absolutely, and yeah, Pete Carroll now at Las Vegas. So, and it's towards the end of the season. We talked about that before, and in a previous video, where hey, the team needs to get used to it, and you have to understand that the coach's style, the coordinator style, etc. So around this time, they should understand some terminology or some way to, hey, this is their game plan, this is how they, their philosophy, etc.
Yeah, and then the Cleveland Browns are also one of those teams where we're not 100% sure what they're going to see at quarterback, right? So I think they have like 5 quarterbacks on the roster right now, right? They have Flacco, they have Deshaun Watson still, who's like a non-factor at this point. Yeah, after they gave up so much to get him, and then they're the team that finally drafted Shedeur Sanders,
right?
In the 5th round, right?
Yep.
So, and then they drafted another quarterback earlier, so they have quarterbacks. I think they're just doing like spray and pray,
Right.
hopefully one works out for them, I think. But
one per down, like they do in the UFL. Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right, let's move forward to, of course, which I'm going to predict if the Ravens don't win. Obviously, I think Cincinnati does bounce back. So we're going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals here, and I think this is a team that has a chance to win the division. You can see the preseason game there, folks. Philly, Washington, and, of course, Indianapolis. And then they jump in. Very similar to what the Browns did of a seesaw. In this case, they go away, home, etc. So away, they're at Cleveland, home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, at Minnesota, at Denver, home against the Detroit Lions. It'll be at the Green Bay Packers. Again, that's back-to-back, Shano, nationally televised games there. But I went a little too fast there. You've got a Monday night on the 29th, and then they have a Thursday night on the 16th. So, some national games, some primetime games in the sense of the whole national audience. And then they 2 games before they enter the bye, and they land on a bye that's pretty nice for the Bengals. 2 home games, the Jets and the Bears. You can go first on what you think. I think I have an idea of what they will go definitely in the first 9 games here.
Yeah. First thing I noticed is that out of the first 4 weeks, they have 3 away games. That's kind of tough for them.
Right.
But I see them going like in the first 9 games. I'm thinking probably 7-2, 6-3.
Yep. Yeah. I was thinking 6-3 myself. I think they're going to either take care of business. Usually they split with the Steelers, but I think they take care of business with the Steelers. Minnesota, it's early. We talked about McCarthy in our previous videos with the Minnesota Vikings. So Jacksonville's still getting trying to get their feet wet with the new coach, etc. The Browns are the Browns, so those should be wins. The Denver Broncos, it's a toss-up. I mean, I believe in Bo Nix, but you never know what can happen from there. And then I think the coordinators are going to hurt the Detroit Lions. So again, I see 6-3 as well.
Yeah, like you said, the Broncos game is definitely a toss-up, and it's in the Mile High City, right? So it's always tougher to play there than it is at home. You always have that weird conditioning factor because you're playing at the higher elevation and all that stuff.
Sure. And
the crowd's usually pretty good there too in Denver. So it's a tough place to play at.
Yep. It'll be teacher versus student, so to speak, in the quarterback range, where Burrow has been a vet, and Bo Nix is entering his sophomore year.
Yeah, if Joe Burrow starts off if he does start off at 6-3 or 7-2, he'll definitely be back in that MVP candidate race.
Yep.
And a lot of people think he should have won it last year, even though they didn't even make playoffs because their offense was just so good.
Right.
His numbers were ridiculous last year.
Absolutely. And he's got his weapons, of course, coming back. T. Higgins, and of course, you can forget Mr. Jamal Chase. Let's move forward after the bye there. We've got the rest of the schedule here for the Bengals at Pittsburgh, home against the New England Patriots, and then you have 2 away games, which again, 1 primetime, 1 nationally televised game. That's the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. They come home, so this is interesting. They're playing the Ravens kind of twice within the 3-week period there. So home against the Ravens, then we finish up on a Thursday night game at Miami, and then you have 2 games that are home in the home stretch there, the Cardinals and the Browns. So your overall thinking, or what's your overall record for the Bengals? If Burrow and they get everything, no injuries, knock on wood, what do you see for the Bengals?
Well, this is where their schedule starts to pick up, right? So
Right.
we said both said 6-3, and I said maybe in 7-2 the first 9 weeks. This is where it gets tough. That's a tough stretch of games there. At Steelers, Patriots, at Ravens, at Bills, and then Ravens again, and then you're at Miami, and Miami's not a bad team. That's a tough stretch of games. Luckily, I think the Cardinals will be better this year, but I think that they're going to win that game still, and then they have the Browns, which I think they'll win that game as well, especially at home. For the last 2 weeks of the season, but that's a tough schedule there, especially that Ravens stack.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah.
That puts them in a big predicament there.
I agree with you on the Cardinals. If it was away, I think it would be possible that they may lose that game because the Cardinals play great at home, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but having them and Cincy definitely helps. But yeah, before that, that's a murderer's row almost of schedules there. But I could see them probably for the year. I would put them probably at 10-7, 11-6, something like that.
Yeah,
I think I have the Ravens as one game better to win the division. But it doesn't mean the Bengals can't. I think that those 2 teams will probably be the top 2 this year in the AFC North.
I'm going to go 11. I was thinking the same thing, 10-7 or 11-6, but I'm going to go with 11-6 and have the Cincinnati Bengals be the new AFC North champions. That's what I'm going to go with. And we'll get those odds out to you shortly, guys. But let's finish up, of course, with the last team in the AFC North. We're, of course, referring to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So right here, guys, you can see on the screen, we've got 3 preseason games. We got the Jags, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Carolina Panthers. So mostly all south from Pittsburgh. So that's pretty good. And they can get used to that weather, that nice weather before they play their season later on. So, again, they've got that little bit of that seesaw. We talked about that throughout this video, that seesaw schedule here at the Jets, home against the Seattle Seahawks. So that's great that they don't have to travel all the way down there to place the Seahawks. At the New England Patriots, home against the Minnesota Vikings. But keep in mind, they're going to Dublin. So they are traveling, and then they have that bye. So we talked about from one of the previous teams in the AFC North where, hey, they go, and then they come back. I believe that was the Cleveland Browns, that's coming from London, and then they play the next game, right?
Yep.
So your thoughts on those 4 games?
Those 4 games, week 1 is pretty interesting, right? Justin Fields, their old quarterback, is there now. Who knows if Aaron Rodgers signs on to Steelers? That's still up in the air, right? So if he does, that'd be another revenge game matchup for Rodgers Jets.
Yeah.
That's the rumor still going around that he might be signing with the Steelers. But I think that out of those first 4 games, I see them probably splitting 2-2.
Sure. Aaron Rodgers, if you're listening, I don't think you're going to get $50 million a year, but I will make it. I have an idea for you if you're listening. Maybe ask for 10% of the team. Hey,
yeah. Think the Rennies will give that up though?
Or maybe 5%. 5% for a team like that. The Pittsburgh Steelers are mad. I'll tell you why. Why the hell did they get rid of Pickens?
I don't know. Some people were saying that there was reports coming out that he was a little bit malcontent in the locker room.
Sure.
And then Tomlin doesn't play games. You know that, right?
No, I agree.
You've seen they got rid of AB for the same reason, pretty much, Antonio Bryant, and then shoot, I can't think of the running back name. Blank in my head. Bell. Yeah. Le'Veon Bell. Remember he was doing the same thing. They got rid of him. Pittsburgh doesn't play. If you don't buy into his system, you're gone. Get out.
But also, you brought up the running back. Keep in mind that they do not have Harris anymore.
It's true, right?
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, let's continue with after the bye. And again, they have that early bye. So this is a very long stretch for them, Shano. They got home against Cleveland, at Cincinnati, and then 2 home games. They host on the Sunday night Green Bay Packers, which will be a very good game, hopefully. Home against the Indianapolis Colts, at the Chargers, home against Cincinnati, at Chicago, home against the Buffalo Bills. Again, that's a nationally televised game on CBS. At the Baltimore Ravens, home against the Miami Dolphins on a Monday night game. And then they have to play later on that week because it's a short week for them after that Monday night game, as you know. So 2 away games, again, nationally televised. So at the Detroit Lions on CBS, at the Cleveland Browns, and then TBD, they play the Baltimore Ravens. Wow. I don't know what to say with I mean, it all boils down to who's going to be under center. Yes?
Yes. That's going to play a huge part, right?
Yeah.
And as we talked about when the NFC North video, when the Packers have the same bye week 5, 13 games in a row is a long stretch, and it's tough to stay healthy as it is in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're playing 13 games in a row, and injuries play a key, right? And hopefully everybody stays healthy and they don't have to worry about that. But it is the NFL, contact sport. People get hurt, you know?
Absolutely. So as we wrap up here, we come back together here. Any update?
What's your final predictions for the Steelers?
Oh,
record?
I'm sorry. The final prediction on the Steelers. Let me go back to that.
I have them pretty much around 500. Like you said, it's hard for me to call. It's hard for me to call because who knows what's really going to happen on the center for them if Rodgers comes in and is Rodgers going to play like he did last year, which wasn't really that great, or is he going to find the fountain of youth and come back and play like he was in Green Bay? Yeah. If he does sign at all, you know. So, but Mike Tomlin, I mean, he never goes below 500. So. Right. He's a great coach, and I think that's probably what it'll be, somewhere around 500.
Yeah, 9-8, maybe we see a tie. We haven't seen a tie last. I don't think we saw a tie last season, but the seasons before we did. So
been a while.
8-1.
8-1, yeah.
You know, maybe they tie one of these things, and you know the payout there is amazing with that. All right, so any update on the hockey game there?
Still 1-1, about 8 minutes left in the third right now. Winnipeg has been controlling the shots right now, which is not good. We need Rantanen to step it up here and get a goal in for us. That's what we need. Yeah, absolutely. And the MLS games are currently going on. It's 0-0 in the second half for the Dallas-Houston. I tried I dusted off my 0-0 detector. There was a little bit of rust in the batteries, where you put the battery, stuff like that. So I had to clean that out and put some 9-volt batteries in there and see if that works. So it's working so far. And then what's very surprising, I had this pick, and it looks like it's not going to work out for us. It's the Nashville and the DC United. It is, of course, 0-0 in that game as they start to wrap that up. So it's tough going from a midweek to the end of the week. So I didn't want to bet that much. So we already lost an early one. So we just have to see what happens and get ready, of course, for tomorrow in the EPL, which match day 38. So that's coming to the end as well for them. All right, folks. So that wraps it up. Catch us next time. We'll be covering, of course, the NFC West. So you definitely want to check us out for that. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and check us out. And until then, don't forget to bet responsibly, and we'll see you next time.